हमारे आज की गेस्ट की स्टोरी शायद आपसे बहुत अलग नहीं है। जयेश चक्रवर्ती भी एक मिडिल क्लास फैमिली से थे। उन्होंने भी इंजीनियरिंग करी और एक आईटी कंपनी ज्वाइन की।
I think my starting salary at Wipro in 1987 was 1,850.
और 40 साल बाद ही हैज व्हाट मोस्ट ऑफ अस ड्रीम ऑफ, एक सुंदर घर, एक हैप्पी फैमिली।
Do you know? 2 plus 2. You got-
और एक फाइनेंशियली फ्री लाइफ फ्रॉम ऑलमोस्ट लूजिंग एवरीथिंग।
I was completely besotted with one share, which started at 280 rupees and then moved to 7,200 before it crashed.
To building a high net worth.
I saw that your passive incomes almost give you around 4 to 5 lakh rupees a month.
Here is how Jayesh did it.
So, hi sir, thank you so much for welcoming us here. You have a beautiful home and I want to know the story here. But we'll start with you. Tell me about, how did you come to Bangalore, what your career's been like, what your family's been like. So I want to know about you.
Thank you for being here, yourself and all the crew members. Bangalore is my home and I've been here for nearly 50 years. I'm one of those rare species in the sense I'm a Bangalorean who's been here for 50 years. So in that sense, I've seen the old Bangalore
Right.
and its development and what it is now.
Right.
And all good. Each has its pluses and minuses. But I've certainly seen the city transform from what they would call a pensioner's paradise
Right, absolutely.
to a software hub or the Silicon Valley of India, as people would like to call
Right.
it.
Right. And can we talk about your career so far? I'd love to know what are you up to right now?
Sure. Right now, I sit on the boards of a couple of companies, a large NBFC and non-profit organization. I also consult. I enjoy teaching a great deal. I like coaching, teaching, mentoring. So I'm doing a couple of assignments. And I'm very fond of cricket. So I travel with the team and watch wherever they play cricket.
Okay.
I play golf
Wow.
regularly once a week.
In terms of your career, what was your first job and what were the milestones that you hit along the way?
Sure. I graduated from the engineering college, government engineering college here in Bangalore.
Okay.
Then went on to get my MBA at Jamnalal Bajaj Institute,
Okay.
which was very fortuitous for me because I got a degree and my wife as well.
Oh, wow.
And then I started my career in technology. So, do you know? Sit down, boy. Down, boy.
For our audience, this is Dino and he's going to be a part of the interview as
He's
well.
very much part of the interview, but less disciplined. He can come and go as he pleases.
Absolutely.
So, post my MBA, I got into the tech industry. Wipro was my first job. I spent 7-8 years with them, largely in brand management and sales. My second job was with a company which no longer exists now. It's called Sun Microsystems. They are now part of Oracle. But in those days of .com, Sun was a big company. Then I moved to a very interesting startup then called Mindtree Consulting,
Okay.
which now is a very large $1 billion plus organization. I worked for them for 5 years and then transformed myself into managing an offshore entity in the financial space. So I spent from 2005 to 18, 13 and a half years with Fidelity Investments, which is one of the largest mutual fund companies in the world.
Wonderful.
That was my last full-time job, after which I decided that I would do a few things on my own. And that resulted in the consulting, in the book being written and, sitting on the boards of company, etc.
Understood. Okay. So if it's not too personal, can we talk about your salary progression and what was if you're comfortable sharing, what was the last salary that you drew?
Well, let's start with the first one. One should never forget.
Absolutely. Never.
I think my starting salary at Wipro in 1987 was 1,850.
Oh my goodness. What a different time then.
It was a different time, a different space. So one must never forget the modest start of most of us. And
Yeah.
in some sense, it occupies a pride of place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then it moved very gradually up to the point of Sun Micro. From Wipro to Sun was a big jump because Sun was a multinational company.
Right.
So whatever I was drawing in Wipro, it doubled when I moved to Sun Micro. That itself was, I felt very great.
Yeah.
And from there to Mindtree was a startup which was a reduction in salary because you move more for stocks than for salary and compensation.
Right, right, right.
And from there to Fidelity was a fourfold increase. So when I left Fidelity in 2018, it was in the ballpark of what most CEOs would draw, somewhere between $500,000 to $1 million. That is the total package. Fortunes sort of fluctuate all the time,
Right.
and you just don't know what would happen.
Right.
And therefore, there is a lesson in that, Shagun, that humility is important because you think you have made all the right decisions
Right.
without realizing sometimes success is because you've ridden a tiger. Failure is because it's just bad luck and timing. So neither success should go to one's head nor failure drive you down completely.
Wow.
And I think everybody should carry that in their mind all the time.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of wisdom in this one episode.
Well, gray hair always teaches you a few things more than the ones who are younger.
Right. So I want to talk about your personal finance journey so far
Yeah.
now. I saw that your passive incomes almost give you around 4 to 5 lakh rupees a month.
Yes.
Right. I'm really curious about that because that's a very substantial amount. How did you build this entire system?
So as we converse, let me give you a few nuggets, which I think are nuggets if it is of use to the audience.
Okay.
First nugget is you have to start saving early. Because, investing is preceded by saving. If you don't save, what is the point in talking about investing in equity, in options, in futures and all that? People love talking these
Right.
complicated investment instruments. But starting point is the behavior or the habit of saving. And that started early.
Right.
Now, remind me of your question again and I'll...
I was just asking you, how did you build these, passive income streams?
Yeah, so that was one. So what I have now is a result of a model put in place 25 years ago.
Right, okay.
If I want to give an example, one of my largest accumulation is in employee provident fund.
Okay.
Which means I kept putting money into it, however small it was. In those days when my salary was 2,000 rupees, employee provident fund was 240 rupees from my side every month. But it just went on and I diligently transferred it to my second company, to the third company I worked, and then to the fourth company. Okay. That would be one aspect of it. The second one, and again, it's a little more controversial, but I just want to say it. Sure. What you save is a function of the environment you're in, the neighborhood you live, and the company you keep.
Right.
So I have friends who have saved even far more than me because they have been very conservative. I have friends who earn a lot more than me, but who have spent so much, who've lived in houses paying rents of 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs per month, that they now say they don't have enough accumulation. So the second nugget I would say is just like when you're young, your mother tells you or your parents tell you, be careful of the company you keep.
Right.
I think how you manage your personal finance is a function of the neighborhood you live in and the people you certainly work with.
Okay, so can we get a sense of what your net worth and your asset allocation looks like right now and how has it changed over time?
Yeah, so you could, the definition of high net worth individual is very generous here in India. Even if you have a small amount, you are, don't worry, he's fine.
No, I want to give him the space to enjoy.
So I could be categorized there, but I would be in the lower end of that spectrum for sure. And what was the second part of it?
The asset allocation, what does it look like?
Asset allocation, I think, is a technical term and very, very, very important in today's context.
Right.
It's not about how, as an individual, you say, should I buy Reliance stocks or should I invest in L&T or should I invest in a startup like Zomato? Those are less important than saying, how much will I keep in equity? how much will I keep in debt, how much will I keep in real estate, in gold, in silver, and so on. So asset allocation is about identifying asset classes. Each one is an asset class. And saying, do I put 5% or 10% in it or 15%? That's number one. The second part of asset allocation is it will change constantly. So when you're young, you're able, you're young, you have many years ahead, you take more risk. Your allocation will go towards riskier assets like equity, maybe real estate, which is not liquid. And you would say that I would keep 80% of my savings there, and that's the right thing to do. Then as you move forward in life, you get a partner, you get a spouse, and then you get children, and then you grow older and approach retirement. The allocation will appropriately change to reduce risk.
Liquidity. Okay.
So one of the other nuggets I submit, which I think youngsters need to learn, is how to evaluate financial risk.
Okay.
So people will say, oh, what's so risky about buying a stock? Tomorrow, if there is a huge war, if Greenland is forcibly taken by Trump, and there's a war between Europe and US, or between some countries in Europe, and you will suddenly find your asset value in stock, which was 100, will now be 30 or 35. The human mind is so beautiful, it never thinks of such bad things.
Yeah.
The moment I ask you to evaluate your risk, you'll always think of a risk which you can manage. You will never think of a catastrophic situation, which can actually happen. So, using that as an example, how people estimate risk is another important nugget in my opinion.
I was just going to ask you, since you've been talking so much about asset allocation also, and you have all of these ideas, how involved were you in your personal finance? Was it something that was secondary to you and you just kept on earning? Or since day one, were you like, okay, you know what, I'm going to earn, save, and this is going to be my investment philosophy? How involved were you with your investments?
It's a great question, because in my early days, my work was consumed so much of me, of my energy as well as time. I would sort of flirt in and flirt out on investments. So when I look back in the first 15 years of my professional life, say from the age of 35 to 40, my knowledge was sketchy. And it was a little amorphous, in the sense I didn't know details very clearly.
Understood.
And I would therefore say, oh, this is a bonus share, I made so much money on this. It's only 15 years into my professional life that I started looking at personal finance as an important aspect. And very fortunately for me, I think I had a little bit of inclination and aptitude towards it. So the moment I started learning, I kept picking more and more. Probably some good genes which I inherited from my father, who's a very astute investment person.
Oh, wow.
So based on that, I started learning more and more. And of course, working for Fidelity was a humongous advantage. It is a terrific advantage. It had some of the best, brilliant people in the world. And merely listening to them and meeting them and talking to them made you understand personal finance substantially.
Right. I think that's in one of your nuggets, you mentioned that your company really matters. And I think the company that you had in Fidelity was probably extremely influential.
So when I said company there, I meant your friend company. But here,
I mean,
in my
people
case,
that you surround yourself with,
Yeah.
even in the company, right? Understood. Was there ever a point where you seek the help of a professional, let's say a financial advisor? And if yes, then what was your experience like? And when do you think that the audience should think about seeking out the help of a professional like that?
Yeah, great. Again, very relevant by Dino. Very relevant. And I would say, I'll answer the second question first, Shogun.
Yeah.
I really think that personal finance is fairly complex. And seeking help is very vital. One should not say, oh, I will do this as a part-time, as a avocation, as a hobby. It is similar to managing your health. You learn a lot by reading on the internet.
Right, absolutely.
But beyond a point, you don't, prescribe things to yourself. It's not a good idea at all. And given the amount of fake news that now floats around. So first thing, please find an investment advisor would be my strong suggestion. Second, that alone is not sufficient condition for good outcome.
Okay.
A good investment advisor, in my opinion, should be an intersection set of competence and integrity.
Okay.
It is hard to find in people of integrity these days. They're always biased towards some company they represent, some mutual fund they represent. SEBI has now made it very difficult for people to be just pure play investment advisors, which means you have to register with them. You should not represent any company. You have to search and find a profile like that, where competence is available in plenty, integrity is rare, and that intersection set
Right.
would be a person having that intersection, falling in that intersection set would be a person whom I would say would be a good investment advisor. That's the second one.
Okay.
The third part of, to answer to your question would be is, having found this person, you depend on that person to help you with your asset allocation, with your asset adjustments from time to time.
Right.
However, it is important that you don't completely give it away. You must have a sense of what is going on with your wealth, with your savings and with your investments. And therefore, keeping in touch from time to time and allocating time and energy
Right.
in spite of being very ambitious about your career is very important.
Yeah. And, on a more personal note, I was just wondering, were there ever any times that, your personal finance journey was, let's just say, you were going through a very challenging pace, let's put it that way.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure that must have happened at some point in your life. And what was the lesson that you took out from it? And something, again, a nugget perhaps that we can derive from
Of course. People always look at your present and then say, oh, this man is so lucky and done well in life. And we all make mistakes. And I made huge number of mistakes. And just to narrate one, in 1999, there was this boom called dot-com boom.
Okay.
And I was sort of completely besotted with one share, which started at 280 rupees and then moved to 7,200 before it crashed.
Oh, no.
And obviously, in spite of thinking that I'm smart, intelligent, and etc., I never understood my risk appetite.
Okay.
I put all my eggs into that stock. At one point, I said, I'm going to retire in life in 2000 because it went up so high.
Yeah.
And that stock, which went up to 7,200, finally came down to 30.
Oh.
And I had no choice but to hold it because when it started sliding, nobody would want to buy it.
Of course.
And it took me 6 months to recover mentally. I was very fortunate that my father was still working then, and therefore, I wasn't without a roof or food. But certainly it was a huge shock to my mind, and that was a big learning.
Right.
The learning is that you must learn to estimate risk. You should not be arrogant, and most important, another nugget which I wanted to say, never count your chickens before they hatch. What I mean is, let's say you have put money in gold and silver now. As we speak today, they're both skyrocketing.
Exciting rally, yeah.
Right? So if somebody asks me, how much have you made in gold and silver? I would say 0, because I'm holding everything right now. I have not sold. In paper, I may have substantial profit. In fact, I'm very happy with it.
Yeah.
But that is not my profit. Till you have cash in your bank.
Yeah.
So never count your chickens before they hatch. Just because your stocks have multiplied 5 times or your silver value is multiplied 6 times, don't say I'm a rich man and I'm going to travel by business class on a holiday to Europe.
Okay.
Because you don't have that money, and by the time you come back from your vacation, something might have happened to gold or so.
True, very true. Right. And speaking of retirement, was it something that you always planned, or was it a consequential thing that it just happened one day? You were like, now I'm done and I'll just do consulting on the side.
So I always planned that the retirement would come, and especially when I became more and more senior in my management cadre. Another small story.
I'm here for
When I joined a company, I was told by a colleague, remember, you are in a very senior position. The day you join the company, a bullet would be fired by a gun. The question is, on what day it strikes you? The bullet is always traveling. So, Jayesh, you be careful. Don't ever think that, this is for permanent. And, that struck a chord in me.
Yeah.
So I was always planning. But what I did not, I was very conservative in estimating how the investments would go.
Okay.
All I would say is with God's grace and with some luck, the investments have done better than I thought they would.
Yeah, right. And retirement is almost never a very individual decision. It affects everyone in your family.
Yeah.
So I'd love to understand what was the role of your family in supporting you when you were, wondering whether or not you should be doing it. What was the role of your family during that phase of your life?
Yeah, and again, very, very profound question in my view, because the risk appetite you want to subject your investment to
Okay.
is the risk appetite of your family and not just you.
Absolutely.
And I think people should take note. If you are in your 20s, it may not make sense because you don't have children.
Yeah.
You may not even have a partner or a spouse. But as you grow old, please remember what I said. It is the collective risk appetite of the family. And I'll tell you a small story. I will always remember, and it moved me. I came back from work one day and it was a bad day at work, a bad day at office. And I was telling myself, this is it. I'm just going to quit. I don't want to continue. And that was the time of startups. And I was saying, look, I must give myself a chance and let me do a startup.
Yeah.
And my two kids, the twins, were by my side. They were, I think, 8 years old or something. And they came and asked me, what are you thinking? And I said, no, I thought I'll do a small company, a startup, instead of just working for this big company. And they said, what will happen? I said, if it succeeds in the long run, we'll all have lots of money. But in the initial stage, I won't have enough money and we'll all have to live carefully.
Right.
And then we went for dinner. And then next day morning at about 6 o'clock when I woke up, I was going past their room. And these two twins, they would sleep in a bunk bed, a boy and the girl. They were talking to each other. When the girl was telling, we call them Ducky and Hickey. The 8-year-old Ducky was telling 8-year-old Hickey, you know what? Appa said he's going to join a small company and get less salary. It's okay, even if you feel cold, let's not switch on the geyser,
Oh, no.
the hot water. Let's start trying to bathe in cold water from today. And then I suddenly realized, see how small things which I think of make such a huge impact on the children.
Yeah.
And I made sure the day was better for me in the company and postponed my startup for a much, much, much later day.
Right.
What was the question? And then
I was just asking the role of family when it comes to planning your retirement.
So family plays a very important role. They may not understand, all of them may not be old enough to understand finance.
Yeah.
But you got to take into account their likes, their insecurities, and all of that when you plan for what you want to do.
Right.
Of course, there are people I know who, in the past especially, I mean, they've had 6, 7 children, but they've just gone out on their own and succeeded. But you should also be clear it will have an impact on your family substantially, on their confidence, and might create anxieties sometimes.
In your experience and in your journey, what 3 words would you use to define your financial freedom so far?
Luck, planning,
Yeah.
right place, right time.
We've been talking so much about your experience so far, but let's say you're back to being 30 and you're starting from scratch in terms of your career, in terms of your personal finance journey. What would your first steps look like?
My first step would be to get rid of the cobweb of fears which bothered me all through my life. I think I've been more anxious, more conservative, less risk-prone than I should have been.
Yeah.
So first thing I would have gotten rid of is say, just go forward, just take your chances, experiment more. That would have been my change in approach if somebody gave me a chance to go back 30 years.
Yeah. And what would you do with your corpus? Let's say you had 20,000 rupees. That's all the saving you had at that point of life. What would you do with it?
So I think surprisingly, nobody has asked me this question, but I'm just thinking now, I would have done exactly what I'm doing now.
Really?
Yeah. I cannot think of, and when you have 20,000, you can't do much with it. But Well, the only thing I would have done is I would have tried to generate more energy in myself to spend weekends understanding personal finance more than I did at that age.
Yeah.
So I told you, by 45, I became very interested and very involved. Perhaps if I had started that at 35, I might have taken a few more bold decisions with bigger returns and so on.
Yeah.
So that is one thing I would have done. But in terms of how I invested, I think it may not change very
It
much.
wouldn't change, because actually that was going to be my next question. If you could go back in time and then change anything about your journey so far, what would that be?
I certainly would have taken far more risks. That is, it's not a regret, but looking back from where I am, I feel that I could have easily taken far more risks.
Yeah. You've had a remarkable career, but I was curious, what were the things that you practiced in your career to really accelerate your growth, not in just terms of salary, but also designations, overall your learning experience? So what were the things you practiced?
So many things which didn't come naturally to me, I forced myself to learn.
Okay.
I am not very easy with change. Change management bothers me. So suddenly tomorrow, if you tell me you've got to relocate to Calcutta and stay, it would bother me, and there would be a natural resistance to change. So I worked very hard on it. So if 10 is the best score for change management, I was at 3 and I came to 5 or 6, which was good.
Okay.
I was not a very process-oriented person, more a person who would like to try out creative things, etc. Abstract, creative. I forced myself to follow processes, make sure I spend time filling forms, etc., which is very important in personal finance, to keep track of what is being done. And then I think by nature I'm a reasonably hardworking guy, but I pushed myself hard to work, at least during the up to the age of 55, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, even though there was always a tendency to say, let's do 9 to 6.
Yeah.
So for me, what did I focus on? I focused on things which weren't natural to me.
Okay.
You're often told by psychologists, focus on your strength. Of course, you need to do that. But I also believe that on areas which you're not strong, you have to at least reach pass grade.
Right.
So that they don't become fatal flaws.
Right.
Those were the things I focused on, because when you talk in the context of personal finance, keeping your records clean is very important.
Okay.
Making sure, checking whether your dividends have come, your interests have been credited to your account, whether you have paid taxes on time, whether your tax planned things properly. These are all very, very important things. And therefore, a substantial part of personal finance and financial planning is following good processes and adhering to procedures and being timely.
Has there ever been a financial goal that you were really working hard towards and it took you such a long time? So what's that one goal that took you the longest to achieve?
Yeah, so all of us have our faults, and my fault for need for gratification was a nice car.
Okay.
So my son, we've always been a car buff for a long time. So I wanted to buy a very nice car. So I bought my first Mercedes-Benz at the age of 50, which I could not fully afford. I borrowed a little. And my father was absolutely livid with me.
I can imagine.
He wouldn't speak to me for a little while. So that was one gratification which I yielded to.
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked that question. None of us are perfect.
Yeah.
We practice only a little part of what we preach.
True, very true. And what's your relationship been like with loans and debt? I mean, have you ever taken out a loan that you regretted? And what are your strategies to pay them off?
I've never regretted having taken a loan. In the early stages of life, I was advised by my investment advisors or whoever were there at that point in time, my tax consultant, the chartered accountants, that certain amount of loan is always very good. So I have always, while I was working till the age of 58, I always had some loan for tax planning purposes.
Okay.
The only rule I had was that the size of the loan should be matched by my investments, so that if push came to a shove, and if there was a problem or a catastrophe, I should be able to extinguish it.
Right.
With great difficulty, but still I should be able to.
Yeah.
But the day I moved out of my job and decided to depend on financial income, like you call it that, I brought the debt to zero. So I'm debt free now, and I would never think of taking a debt now.
Right. Interesting. So the next segment is a little fun. I have 4 statements with me, and I want you to tell me whether you agree or disagree, and what's your take on it. So, do you think that younger people take smarter financial risks today?
Disagree.
Disagree. Why?
They take as good a financial decision as the past.
Okay.
I just because they're younger doesn't mean they always take a better decision. I'm not saying they're taking bad decisions,
Yeah,
but they are just taking as good a decision as was taken in the past.
Okay. Renting property makes more sense than buying real estate.
Agree.
You do agree?
Yeah, because we are now living in a time for the last 10 years where real estate as an asset class is not yielding much returns.
True.
So I don't know about Gurgaon, where you come from. That a lot of things are said about that place. I'm just going to leave that out.
Yeah.
But if you look at Bangalore or even Mumbai, I mean, if you have a crore of rupees and you want to buy an apartment in Santa Cruz versus putting some money in equity, I would always look at a financial investment.
Right.
It can change, but my answer is what it is in the context of what it is.
Right. But there's a conflict here, and often, a lot of times that I talk to people who have had extensive experience, especially in the finance space, they actually agree with you and they say that renting makes more sense. But more often than not, they end up being themselves personally invested in a lot of real estate.
Correct.
Why do you think, why this conflict?
So, as always, the devil is in the detail.
True.
So, if let's say you want to make a decision between renting a property versus buying one, how much rent you're willing to pay will determine that. If you say, I'm conservative, I have this South Indian mentality for saving, and therefore I'll rent a property for 40,000 rupees or 50,000, a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm happy with that. It's not a big expenditure.
Yeah.
But if you say, oh, for my lifestyle, it has to be in, what was the name I heard? Magnolia. Or
Yeah, Camellias.
Magnolia. And I want to spend 3 lakhs of rupees renting. Clearly, you don't want to spend that much of money on rent. You would rather buy something and stay.
Right.
So, the answers to these are nuanced.
Absolutely. Right.
But one good thing which I find now, people talk of being asset light. Right? That's a word they use. They say, I don't want to own a car, I'll do Uber. I don't want to have a property in Delhi because tomorrow I may be in Bangalore like you want to be, or go to Bombay. So I'll be asset light and I will move around. That's a good thing.
Okay. Most people retire not because they want to, but because they don't like their career or their job.
Disagree.
You disagree?
Most people, that's not true. Some people, I would say, I agree. But for most people, they retire because 2 things happen. If you're in technology, like I was there, a point comes when youngsters have to take over. There's no question of you working till 65, 70 and all. After all, the industry itself, the average age is probably 30. So you can see the sign looming and then you decide.
The bullet is out of the...
Well, thank you for remembering. The bullet is reached very close by, and before it hits you, get out. That is one.
Right.
The second reason could be that a lot of people burn out too. It's not easy, right? I mean, you work really, really hard. The level of work has come down now, but in earlier, when the country was coming up, when technology was coming up, you put in a lot more work. So when Mr. Narayan Murthy of Infosys or Mr. Subramanian of L&T says, I expect people to work on a Sunday, it is contextual. Rather than condemn them, I think you should look at it as a one point of view which has merit.
Right.
And you do what you want to do. That's a different matter. But you don't completely say that is a wrong thing.
Yeah.
The third reason, of course, is that financial independence hits you much earlier than it did when your father was in the government or your grandfather was in the government.
Yeah.
There you could know your increment and dearness allowance increased by this percentage. Here you suddenly take a risk, you get twice the salary, 3 times the salary, you have stocks which does well. These are the reasons, therefore, I say that not everybody retires because they are unhappy.
Okay. And I think you led me to the next question perfectly. This is a great segue. Do you think that hustle culture is toxic?
Oh, it's a tough one, but I would say, I would agree. The reason is, to me, hustle means being pushy, and absence of systems, absence of process. Hustle also means jugaad in our local lingo. I think permanently living on hustle culture says that there is some shortage which you have created in the system around you.
Okay.
So hustle culture, therefore I don't want us to say that hustle never works. That's absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
So when you're in a crisis, hustle works. You've got to get this done and you push hard. But a permanent hustle culture is a sign of weakness.
Right. Yeah, I think.
I'm sorry, I'm not just saying agree, disagree.
No, but I think you're right. Again, like there's so much context and so much layers here too. But I think you're right that if you're constantly hustling, that's not sustainable and something is wrong.
Yes, perfect. Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
But if the leader says, I'll never hustle, that's also wrong.
There has to be a blend of.
There has to be a blend of, at least in my opinion, 80-20.
Understood.
Because life will be unpredictable at least to 25-30% of time. Business will be unpredictable.
Right.
And therefore, when it comes, you got to just push.
Right. And let's say the audience watches this entire podcast and they take away one lesson with them. What would you want that to be?
Can I say 2 things instead of one?
Of course.
I would say life is all about balance and good judgment. That's my first take.
Okay.
Second, please don't lose your humility. However successful you are, please don't lose your humility. So balance, judgment and humility are the 3 things I would like.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us
you.
today. I think I'm taking away so many nuggets. I'm full already. So many nuggets for me to take home. And I think I learned more about life in this, I think, 1 hour than I did, about anything else.
I hope your audience are as charitable as you are to me, and I look forward to that.
And I'll be looking forward to the book.
Sure. I will send you an autographed edition of that.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here.
Thank you all.
Investment in the securities market is subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.